Assalamualaikum and good morning to the viewers out there. We are blessed to be here today to witness our interesting economic forum about financial institutions. I hope that you will learn something from this forum. Our topics for today will be discussed by our dedicated speakers. That begins our forum by introducing our speakers. For the first speaker will be conducted by Nurul Husna, followed by second speakers which is Siti Nur'amirah, and the third speakers which is Ayu Syuhada, and the fourth speakers is Nur Syuhada. And I am Nurul Atirah, your moderator. Basically, financial institution is a company engaged in the business of dealing with financial and monetary transactions, such as deposit, loan, investment, and currency exchange. The major categories of the financial institution include central bank, retail, and commercial bank. So everyone, I would like to ask our first speakers to share with us about a little bit information about the central bank and what is the function of the central bank.
Okay, thank you, Atirah. So, hi and good evening, everyone. Today, I would like to share with all of you function of central bank. Okay, basically, a central bank is a financial institution with privileged control over the production and distribution of money and credit to a nation or a group of nations. In developed economies, the central bank is generally responsible for the formulation of monetary policy and for the supervision of member banks. In Malaysia, the Central Bank of Malaysia, which known as BNM, is the Malaysian Central Bank. It established on 26 January 1959 as Central Bank of Malaya. Next, the central bank is a financial institution responsible for managing the monetary system and policy of a nation or group of nations, controlling its money supply and setting interest rate. So, although their responsibilities range widely depending on their country, central banks' duties and the justification for their existence usually fall into three areas. So I will share to all of you the main function of central bank. The first one is central bank control and manage the national money supply, issue currency and set interest rate on loan and bond. Central bank usually raise interest rates to slow growth and avoid inflation, lowering them to stimulate growth, industrial activity, and consumer spending. In this way, they manage monetary policy to guide the country's economy and achieve economic goals such as full employment. Second, they control member banks by means of capital requirements, reserve requirement, which determine how much bank will lend to customers and how much cash they have to hold on hand, and deposit guarantees, among other instruments. They also provide loans and services for a nation's bank and its government and manage foreign exchange reserve. Finally, to distress commercial banks and other institutions, and sometimes even a government, a central bank also acts as an emergency lender. The central bank, for example, offer a politically favorable option to taxes by buying government debt obligations when a country wants to raise revenue. So that's all from me.
Thank you, Nurul Husna, for your good information. Based on your information, I can conclude that central bank exists for different purposes than commercial bank. They pursue national welfare, not profit. Their financial results often to be poor to guide their success. So next, a commercial bank is a type of financial institution that accepts deposit, offers checking and saving account. There are examples of commercial bank in Malaysia, which is Public Bank, RHB Bank, Maybank, and many more. So speaker number 2, could you tell us slightly about the function of commercial bank?
Thank you, Ms. Atirah, for the question. There are five main function that commercial banks carry out in their role as their primary providers of intermediated finance to the household and business sector of economy. First of all, commercial banks provide service like current and service account. They are also able to give you some advance to cover up for your shortfall through other depositors' funds. They make it easy to pay bills, transfer monies, and others. Second function is credit provision. Commercial banks provide credits that help infuse more money in the economic activity by allowing business to invest beyond their cash on hand and households to purchase homes without savings. The third function is enhancing private entrepreneurships. Commercial banks increase the participation of the private sectors in economic development by making available to the loans easily on reasonable rate of interest. For the fourth function is remittance of money. Commercial banks allow transfers of cash from one place to another and from one country to another country, which has expanded the internal and external trade for business. The households can easily transfer cash, gold, and silver without carrying them. Last function is liquidity provisions. Commercial banks provide liquidity by allowing flexible deposits that helps businesses and households by allowing protection against unexpected needs for cash. That's all for me.
Thanks to Siti Nur'amirah for the great review. The conclusion I can say that commercial banks are the most important part of our country economic system. Commercial bank can be government operated or can be privately authorized. So in US 2008, US has faced the financial collapse that gave us a lot of impact to the entire worldwide. Speaker number 3, can you evaluate the situation of the financial collapse in US?
Okay, thank you, Ms. Atirah. Okay, so what is the global financial crisis of 2008? So the global financial crisis of 2008 refers to the massive financial crisis the world faced from 2008 to 2009. The financial crisis took its toll on individuals and institutions around the globe, with millions of Americans being deeply crushed. Okay. So financial institutions started to sink, many were absorbed by larger entities, and the US government was forced to offer bailouts to keep many institutions afloat. The crisis, often described to as the Great Recession, did not happen overnight. There were many issues present leading up to the crisis, and their effects linger to this day. So let us take a look at a brief outline of the global financial crisis of 2008. Okay, next, about the housing market bubble. Okay, so a housing market bubble is a run-up in housing prices fueled by demand, speculation, and exuberant expanding to the point of collapse. So the foundation of the global financial crisis was built on the back of the housing market bubble that began to form in 2007. Banks and lending institutions offered low interest rates on mortgages and encouraged many homeowners to take out loans that they could not afford. So with all the mortgages flooding in, lenders formed new financial instruments called mortgage-backed securities, which were essentially mortgages bundled together that could be sold as securities with minimal risk load due to the fact that they were backed by credit default swaps. So lenders could then easily pass along the mortgages and all the risks. Outdated regulation that were not rigorously enforced allowed lenders to get sloppy with underwriting, meaning that the actual value of the securities could not be determined or guaranteed. Okay, next, when the bubble bursts. Okay, the bubble burst is demand decreases, but at the same time, supply increases, resulting in a sharp drop in prices. So banks began to lend carelessly to families and individuals without true means to follow through on the mortgages that be granted. So such high-risk loans were then inevitably bundled together and passed down the line. As the subprime mortgage bundles grew in number to an overwhelming degree, with a large percentage moving into default, lending institutions began to face financial difficulties. So it led to the dismal financial conditions around the world during the 2008 until the 2009 period and continued for years to come. Okay, so the last one is about the aftermath of the global financial crisis of 2008. So many who took out subprime mortgage eventually defaulted. When they could not pay, financial institutions took major hits. The government, on the other hand, stepped in to bail out banks. So the housing market was deeply impacted by the crisis. Evictions and foreclosures began within months. So the stock market, in response, began to plummet and major business worldwide began to fail, losing millions. This, of course, resulted in widespread layoffs and extended periods of unemployment worldwide. Decreasing credit availability and failing confidence in financial stability led to fewer and more cautious investments, and international trade slowed to a crawl. Eventually, the United States responded to the crisis by passing the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act of 2009, which used as expansionary monetary policy facilitated by bank bailouts and mergers, and worked with regard to stimulating economic growth. Okay, so that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you for your informative and evaluation, Nur Ayu Syuhada. Based on your evaluation, now I know that there are a few outlines of the global financial crisis that may be a reason and why this is happening. So next, we will proceed to the last part, which is monetary policy. Monetary policy is the policy adopted by the monetary authority of a country that controls either the interest rate payable on very short-term borrowing or the money supply, offering targeting inflation of the interest rate to ensure the price stability and general trust in the currency. So, speaker number 4, could you tell us how monetary policy can be used to overcome such problem?
Okay, thank you for having me today. First of all, when setting up a better financial stability policy, it is important to understand that monetary policy is distinct and different from financial stability policy. The two policies have different objectives and different suitable instruments. Even though the fact that financial stability policy and monetary policy are distinct and different does not mean that there is no interaction between them. This interaction needs to be considered. Financial crises exhibit several characteristics that can influence the transmission of monetary policy. For example, high financial market distress, macroeconomic volatility and uncertainty, low confidence of market participants, and substantial balance sheet adjustments of firms and households. In the United States, monetary policy was eased quickly in 2008, mitigating the biggest drop in GDP at the end of 2008 and the beginning of 2009. By contrast, interest rates in the euro area were lowered about 1 year later. First, the monetary policy being used by US to overcome the problem is to respond with very low interest rates and a wide range of non-standard measures. The global financial crisis has now gone through a lot of various stages. Initially, the crisis started in the financial crisis mortgage market in the summer of 2007 and became very intense in September 2008 with the default of Lehman Brothers. Subsequently, money problems spilled over into the real economy, resulting in downturns in almost all industrialized countries. Fiscal and monetary policies countered this with incredible vitality. Furthermore, the ECB also starting a program of acquisition of troubled financial assets from the markets. This program has been intensified because of the difficulties that European banks had in the light of the crisis of some European countries' government debts. Thus, the ECB role of market maker of last resort has been strengthened through the covered bond program and asset purchase program. The main beneficiaries of this invention have been commercial banks which had bad quality assets on their balance sheets. For example, Irish and Spanish banks, suffering from the consequences of real estate bubbles in their countries, largely use this facility. Other than that, the regime that has existed in developed economies over the last 3 decades has been a regime of monetary dominance under which central banks can pursue price stability policies without the government's budget limitations being taken into consideration. Central banks have been given an explicit mandate to maintain price stability and are protected by legal provisions in order to guarantee their independence. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Nur Syuhada. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, as the conclusion, monetary policy is one of the policies that can be used to overcome this crisis. Finally, we came to our last part of the forum. So I would like to thank to all of our dedicated speakers for enlightening us about the financial institution and also for the informative talk. Hopefully, the forum will be beneficial for everybody. Assalamualaikum.
Salam.